Thank
you. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar for Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia. My name is Anthony Bradley, and I have to apologize that I am working from home, and behind me you can see my daughter's bedroom. So first of all, before we start, on the right-hand side of the screen, you've got a chat box, a question box. What I would like you to do, please, is if everybody could introduce yourselves. I can see you've got Nejati, you've got Burahan, you've got Faiza, you've got Lal, you've got Melissa. Could you just type in where you are? Are you in Istanbul? Are you in Bursa? Are you in Ankara? Are you in Kars? Where could you just let me know which part of? Are you in Izmir? Hulki, yeah, very nice. In Bolu, nice. Ankara, fantastic. Oh, look at you all over the Istanbul, Aydin, Çiğdem from Ankara, that's wonderful. Eskişehir, Izmir, Istanbul. Oh, you're from everywhere. So Samsun, Samsun is on the Black Sea coast, isn't it, Melissa? Yes, I used to live in Istanbul many years ago. I lived in a suburb of Istanbul called Ziverbey near Kadıköy, where I was an English language teacher. Bursa, Denizli, Marmaris, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Which part of Turkey is Malaysia in? Just joking. So yeah, look, I am very familiar with Turkey as a country. I travel there twice a year. I lived there for nearly 2 years many years ago. And so it gives me great pleasure to actually be here to tell you guys in Turkey and Malaysia a little bit about Macquarie University, okay? So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to share my screen so you can see my presentation. And if you, merhabalar Buce, okay, yes, I spoke to you earlier. So if you do have any questions, please write them in the question box. My Turkish is şöyle böyle. So I would prefer it if you wrote in English, not in Turkish. However, if you're more comfortable writing in Turkish, Burçe and her team will be able to help translate that into English. So as we go, you may hear what I have to say. You may have some questions. Please feel free to pop them in the question box. My presentation is not very long. It's about 13 slides. And I will give you a very broad overview of Macquarie University. If I am speaking too fast, please type slow down, yavaş, put slow down in the chat box, and then I can actually slow my language down to make sure you understand. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we will start the presentation. Okay. So let's get going. So as I mentioned before, my name is Anthony Bradley. I am the Regional Director for Africa and for Europe for Macquarie University. So my job is to make sure that people that live in the continent of Africa and everybody that lives in Europe know everything about the university. And I'm very happy to say that even though only 2% of Turkey is in Europe, we consider all of Turkey to be a European continent for me to look after. So I represent Macquarie University, which is based in the city of Sydney. Now, many of you may have heard me do these presentations before. Some of you may have even been to Australia before. Sydney is not the capital city of Australia. It's the largest city in Australia, but by a fair way. It's about 5.5 million people. It is the second most desirable student city in the world. The number one was Toronto, believe it or not. And I guess Canada and Australia are very similar. Big countries, small population. Everybody lives near the sea, but Canada's a little bit colder than Australia. So, but just by looking at that picture, you can see that it is a vibrant area. It's a vibrant place to live, to work, to study. It's based around the water. Now, for those of you that are in Istanbul, you can probably see that there are some similarities. Everybody is crowded down towards the water. So it is a great place to live. It is a good place to study. There are 7 or 8 universities in Sydney. There are great opportunities as well. So Australia in general is a very welcoming country. Excuse me. Just very quickly, I also, while I'm doing this presentation, I cannot see your questions, so I will get to the questions once the presentation has finished. So as I was saying, it's very important when you go to Australia to realize that there's a balance in your lifestyle. So it's you study hard, you work hard, but you play hard as well. So the lifestyle is one of the main attractions of going to work and to live and to study in Australia. So as I keep saying, the minute you finish your studies, you can hop on a train, you can go down to the water, you can go down to the beach, you can take a train over the bridge. There are lots and lots of ways of occupying your time. So there's always something happening. There is a very multicultural population in Sydney. 1 in every 4 people in Sydney was not born in Australia. So that reflects the amount of immigration from all the countries in the world. So it's a very welcoming place. So they might see someone walking down the street of Chinese heritage or African heritage. But the first reaction of us on Australian is, oh, there's an Australian person that's migrated here. There's a very high level of safety. So Australia is one of the safest countries in the world. There's a very high employment rate and a very low crime rate. And the police are paid a very good salary. So there is a very low level of corruption. And as a result of a positive society, you have a high level of employment. As an international student, you'll be able to work for 40 hours per 2 weeks. You can work full-time during the holidays. And when you graduate, as long as you complete a 2-year master's or a two-year part of a bachelor's degree, you can stay in Australia to work for 2 years when you finish. So just looking at some of these pictures, these are some of the activities you can get up to. That is the Sydney Opera House with the laser art show beamed onto it. You might want to take up surfing. Just be aware that if you do take up surfing, you do become part of the food chain. There are very big hungry fish out there. We've got aquariums, we've got museums, we've got art galleries. We've got beautiful areas to walk around. Naturally, we have our wonderful beaches with open-air swimming pools, and you've got open-air facilities. Now, all of these activities are available mainly because of the climate. The climate in Sydney is absolutely fantastic. Now, that is Sydney. That's a little bit about the city of Sydney. Now, why Macquarie University? So the university has roughly 40,000 students. It's a medium-sized university on Australian standards, and 25% of our students are international. So the international makeup of the university is very similar to the international makeup of the city of Sydney, 25%. We are ranked in the top 1% in the whole world. So our current ranking was about 213 in the world, and this is because of the very high level of research that we push out. We're about 15 kilometers from the center of Sydney, and we are set on 126 hectares of park-like campus. So it's not a stone kind of urbanized campus. It's actually a very, very country-style campus. It's not in the city center. It's 15 kilometers from the city center by train. It is a single campus with a lot of open area, a lot of space. All your accommodation, all your study areas, a shopping center, train station, hospital, all on campus, along with a large park-like area. We are a young university. We were established in 1964. And one of the things that is very, very worthwhile knowing about the university is that we try to link studies with work. Now, because the land belongs to the university, we actually rent a lot of office space to over 300 different companies. Now, if you have a look at that, you can have a good view of the university. This area here that I am highlighting, that is the university campus. And in the top part of the campus there, we rent office space to over 300 different companies. So companies like Microsoft, they have an office on the university campus. So what I'm trying to say is that Macquarie University tries to double its focus. Number one, of course, we do the academics, the studies, the bachelors, the masters, the research, but we also try to link that with real world industry. So Microsoft are there, Deloitte's are there, Philips are there, Singtel, Octus is there, Cochlear is there, Johnson & Johnson is there. So we have a lot of connections with industry on the campus. We also have 5 QS star ranking for things like student satisfaction, graduate employment, facilities, and things like that. And we are ranked in the top 50 in international universities as well. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because, you know, there are 20,000 universities in the world. There are 42 universities in Australia. When you choose to go to Australia, a university, you have to look at a whole number of criteria. Where is that university? How much does it cost? Does it have a good reputation? Is it a single campus? Is it in the city? Is it in the Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere? So these are all the different criteria that you need to look at when considering a university. So in terms of student satisfaction, Macquarie University also ranks very highly. Now then, another thing worth mentioning is that it's all fine and well for me to talk about our bachelor's degrees and our master's degrees, but a university is also, the reputation is also built on the industrial application, the famous inventions that it is famous for. So what is Macquarie famous for? Now, have a look at all those 6 different things. Of course, you won't know all of them, but we have one of those things, Wi-Fi, you will definitely be aware of. So Macquarie University was responsible for the design, the demonstration, and the commercialization of the first high-speed Wi-Fi connection. So our things like our electronics engineering, software engineering, cybersecurity, plus the industrial application side of everything is very, very high profile in certain areas. Now, it is a comprehensive university. So we don't just focus on electronics and software. Our areas of excellence are in business, in education, in engineering, environment, health and medical sciences, law, criminology, media, creative arts, science, society, history and languages. And for those special group of students that are focusing on their MBA, and our Master of Management, we have a very special area called MGSM, Macquarie Graduate School of Management. This is a specific and a separate entity within the university that caters for the mature students doing the MBA, Master of Management, Master of Social Entrepreneurship. So as I mentioned, it's a comprehensive university with 5 main faculties: arts, business and economics, human sciences, medicine, health science, faculty of science and engineering, graduate school of management, as I mentioned, for the MBA. And for students that are coming from a high school environment in whether it's China or Turkey, we have a special pathway called Macquarie University International College. Now, this is for those of you that are your diploma, your diplomacy. You can't go directly into a bachelor's degree, but we can get you in through the Macquarie University International College, either through a foundation year or a special diploma year, depending on your grades. Now, I'm not going to spend a long time on all of our programs, but this is just to give you a little bit of an idea in some of the areas that we focus on. History, anthropology, English, geography, all the way down to policing. Oops, sorry, go back one. Policing, intelligence, counterterrorism, and sociology. That's our Faculty of Arts. Our Faculty of Business and Economics is very, very well known for accounting and corporate governance, applied finance and actuarial studies, economics, marketing and management. Medicine and health is, again, another very, very large area, and that is because we are the only Australian university with our own hospital on the campus. So medicine, clinical medicine, health professions, cognitive science, education, early childhood education, biomedical sciences, everything related to health and mental health and cognitive health can be studied with us. Science and engineering, again, a very, very important and large faculty. where we focus on 6 or 7 main areas of engineering. But we do things like information technology, computer science, environmental science, physics and astronomy, plus, of course, your high-level statistics and applied statistics. Now, that's a little bit about the university. What is very important is this. As an international student, when you fly all the way over from Turkey, all the way over to Australia, even though you may be very, very fluent in English and widely traveled, you are basically studying in a new country under a new system completely. So our student support team are very, very focused on making sure that students are comfortable and feel safe, okay? So we have a free airport pickup, we have counseling and disability and welfare advisors, we have a medical clinic on campus, we have a numeracy and literacy training programs, and we also have a career and employment service, plus an accommodation service as well to help you find work. Now, obviously, everybody is aware that we've got the coronavirus, the COVID-19 happening now. So at the moment, all our programs are being done online. The Australian borders are closed, and currently we have about 3,000 or 4,000 students sitting at home doing everything online. Now, Macquarie University has made very, very good provision for this online deliverability. So we use a wide range of platforms, whether it's WebEx or Livestorm or Zoom or Google Hangouts or direct Skype and FaceTime links. So the students that are doing the online side of things, all reports show that they're very, very happy. And depending on what happens next semester or the next intake, there may be a period of time when you are studying online. Now, this is a little bit about for those of you that are in high school and want to do a bachelor's degree, this is the way it works. If you have come out of your Turkish senior secondary high school with a devlet lise diplomacy or the devlet meslek diplomacy with 2 out of 5, you must do a 1-year foundation program before you start. 3 out of 5, you do an 8-month foundation program. 4 out of 5, you can do 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. You do a 1-year diploma, and then you start the 2nd year of the program. So the diploma is not a foundation year. It's part of the degree. Now, these are just for the undergraduates, not the master's degree students. We can talk about those later. And very good news is this. All Turkish students will receive a $3,000 discount from the pathway programs, and you'll get a $5,000 discount for any degree that you start, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Every year we give you a discount. All right. Now that is the presentation. I'm going to go back to stop sharing the screen, and let's just see how many questions we have. Okay, is there any equality for education department with a Turkish university, or can we apply for any PhD degree in? So this is from Sevinch. Okay, with PhDs, with a PhD, basically if you have a master's degree and you have a lot of research methodology publications, you can apply directly for a PhD. But the key is to make sure that you have a supervisor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the chat box, I'm going to type my email address. If you have any questions, send me an email, and I can either answer you directly or I can put you in touch with some of our education agents that we have in Turkey. We have a number of very, very good representatives that are based in Turkey that are very familiar with all our entry requirements for the academic programs and the visa. All right, so let me just type my email address in. Anthony.bradley@mq.edu.au. So I'm just putting my email address in. Feel free to send me an email, particularly if you've got questions about PhD or research programs, because it is a little bit complicated. That is my email address at the bottom of the chat. Okay, could you please inform about international student rate in total students? International students rate in total. Okay, that's from Hesna. So as I mentioned before, Australian universities, generally speaking, have quite a high percentage of international students. Macquarie University has 25% international students. The biggest nationality represented are the Chinese, followed by India, Malaysia, North America, increasing numbers of Europeans and Africans. So we actually we have quite a good level of diversity. Okay, Ömer, what are the acceptance criteria for economics? Okay, full scholarship. So we don't have any full scholarships, okay? So if that I'm sorry if that disappoints anybody, but we simply do not do full scholarships. But if you are doing a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, we can give you a $5,000 discount per year of study. Okay. So this answers going to Nurulah's question, Özcelik. So on average, our programs cost about $38,000 per year. Okay. Now you can take $5,000 as Turkish citizens. You can take $5,000 off that per year. So if you do a 2-year master's degree, you're saving $10,000. If you do a 4-year bachelor's degree, you're saving $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. I have written a proposal to have that $5,000 increased to $10,000, but at the moment, that has not been passed, okay? So as soon as we know whether we're increasing that level of scholarship, I will let you know. But at the moment, it is just $5,000 discount per year, okay? So you're looking at about $33,000 per year. And then your food, accommodation, transport, you still need about $21,000 on top of that, okay? So I'm not going to try and kid you that it is cheap. It isn't. You won't get any change out of $50,000 a year. However, what you will get is a good quality program. You will possibly get a post-study work visa, and you will increase your networks and your graduate, the attractive nature of your graduate employment opportunities. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Okay. What are the required conditions for admissions to the university? This is from Errol Yildiz. So as I said, conditions for entry. So number one, if you're going into a postgraduate program, you need a bachelor's degree with more than 65% to get in. Everybody is going to need to do an IELTS English language test, okay? Now, the minimum entry requirements, so most of our programs require 6.5 out of IELTS. However, some programs are higher. Law, MBA, medicine, speech pathology, education, these are 7 or 7.5. But if you're going into programs like international business, engineering, media communications, you will need 6.5 at IELTS. Okay, so if you have a good quality master's degree plus an IELTS of 6.5, you can apply for that master's degree. Some of our master's degree, your bachelor's degree must be in a similar area. So if you want to do a master's of engineering, obviously your bachelor's must be in engineering as well. If you're going into media and communications, that's not the case. So in some cases, your bachelor's degree must be linked to your master's degree. In other cases, not. So this is from Cheren Songud. Hello, what should my diploma score be at least for business management? So if you want to go directly into the 3-year Bachelor of Business Management, Cheren, can you just let me know, are you talking about going into a master's degree or into a bachelor's degree, please? I can hear from the news that Qantas Airlines is not in service due to coronavirus. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So Nejati, you are completely correct. Qantas is not going to be flying internationally until the middle of next year. Okay, now that does not mean that you cannot come. It just means Qantas are not going to be flying until July next year. Potentially, we're looking at Singapore, but to be honest, we don't know what's going to happen next year. If it opens, it will be Singapore or Emirates or Etihad or Cathay Pacific. It won't be Qantas. But at this point, we simply don't know what's happening in terms of our borders. This is from Hulki Chidai. My major is electrical computer engineering, but I would like to study MSc in computer science. Bachelor's GPA is 3 out of 4. Is it possible to study the program? Absolutely. So we need to see an application, Hulki, from you in order to, we would need to actually have a look at that. If your if your bachelor's is in electrical computer engineering, you should be okay. If you want to do a Master's of Information Technology and you have a number of specializations in your bachelor's degree in computer engineering, you should be okay for a Master's of Information Technology. That's for Hulki, okay? So yes, if your bachelor's contains enough computer engineering and your average score is 4 out of 5, you should be okay for a Master's of Information Technology. We would need to see an application and then we would look at your transcript. Send me an email, go back to the chat room and have a look at my email. Send me an email and I can point you in the right direction. Sarah, can you apply for multiple postgraduate courses with your communications degree? Yes, you can apply for 3 different courses. Can you become a university lecturer? That's not for me to say, I'm afraid. I would love to say, yes, of course you can. Every single one of our university lecturers has a PhD, okay? Or is actually training to have a PhD. So in order to do lecturing, you really need to have the highest level of research methodology as you can. So you may want to consider doing a Master's of Research instead of a Master's of Coursework, okay? Again, send me an email with these questions and I'm happy to answer them. But if you want to become a lecturer, you need to start focusing on research, not coursework. This is from Sena. I will graduate from fashion design department next year, one of Masters of Brand Management. I would need to look at your degree, obviously. I don't know exactly what you've done and the transcript and everything and what kind of institution you've come from. Like I said, send me an email. I'm happy to point you in the right direction so you can speak to one of our agents and our official representatives and they will be able to talk you through your options. Can the spouse of a postgraduate student come and work while the other is studying? This is from Begum Özkaya. Yes. So if you're doing a master's degree and you bring your partner can work full time. Okay? They are riding on your visa. So you're studying full time at master's degree, your partner can be working full time. Burak, what are the conditions to have a full scholarship? We don't have any full scholarships, Burak, I'm very sorry. I wish we did, but we do not have any full scholarships at all, I'm sorry. Hesna, can international students get a work permit after graduation? Okay, so as I mentioned before, the Australian government offers what we call a post-study work visa. Now, in order to qualify for this post-study work visa, you have to have completed a 2-year registered program. This doesn't mean that you have to spend 2 years there. You have to complete that program in a minimum of 17 months, okay? Now, if you meet all the criteria, you are eligible for a post-study work visa, which allows you to stay in Australia for 2 years if you did a master's by coursework, for 3 years if you did a master's by research, and 4 years if you did a PhD. Okay, so yes, you can. Do we have postgraduate studies for political science and international relations? Yes, we do, Özge. We certainly do. Is it expensive, Sydney City? This is from Mukaddes. Comparatively, Sydney is quite an expensive place, yes. I mean, it's like any big first world city. If you look at London, you look at New York, you look at Toronto, you look at Hong Kong, Singapore, Tokyo, you name it. Sydney property is very expensive. The university itself is actually 15 kilometers away from the central business district, which means things are a little bit cheaper. But of all the places in Australia, Sydney and Melbourne are probably the 2 most expensive. Okay, so my friends and the students that I speak to, they tell me it is quite expensive, but it is manageable. Obviously, if you're going to drink beer and go partying every night, you're going to need a lot of money. But if you are frugal, you're sensible in your shopping, if you collaborate with your friends, then you can bring the prices down. But that's a very good question, actually, as it said. Can I study medicine in university? If I can, do I have to be graduated from your current school? Medicine is a very tricky question to answer. There are 2 different ways into medicine. You either finish high school and do a 2+4 package for your medicine, or you finish a bachelor's degree in Turkey and you come and do a 4-year Doctor of Medicine. So it depends what your starting point is. Okay, Dila? So Dila Gurkem, please send me an email and I will send you some information on that. Back to you, Nejati. Do you have an online ESL program? Yes, we do. Özge, does participating in student exchange programs and interning at home abroad help us to get scholarship? Not really. We don't, as I said, the scholarships that we had, the way we used to do it. So we used to have a big pot of money, and then we would give the scholarships out in big lumps to certain very qualified students. But what we do instead is we say, look, if you're from Europe, everybody gets $5,000. So we've spread that money evenly across everybody from Europe. So unfortunately, we do not have any scholarships, but we certainly would look at bringing your fees down by 5,000. Nejati, do you have any Turkish faculty members? That's a very good question. We actually have 2 Turkish academics working in our English language school. And potentially they're even watching me right now. I'm not too sure. One of them is called Jan. And I'm not too sure the other person's name, but yes, we do have a number of Turkish academic faculty members. As I said, we're a very international student. How many Turkish students do you have in total? That's a very good question. So our Turkish numbers of students are slowly creeping up. So last year, I think we had about 10 start, and this year we're looking to have about a similar. I would say probably between 30 and 40 across the whole university at different levels. Do you have a TOEFL certificate to come to you? Okay, this is from Faiza Duman. Do you have to have a TOEFL certificate to come to your university? You can use TOEFL or IELTS or Pearson's. Okay, so we have, or Cambridge. So we have 3 or 4 different certificates that you need. But if you mean, do you need an English language qualification? Then yes, you do. Nejati, wow, you're full of questions. Do you have an academic cultural sharing scholarship system? We do have something called the Global Leadership Program. Now, this is, I guess you could call it a cultural sharing program, where students raise their profile by belonging to the GLP. You increase your network of international connections. You're sort of used as an ambassador for the university. So you may be asked to go to lectures or conferences on behalf of the university as an international student. Okay, it's not a scholarship. There are no financial remuneration, but it does raise your profile. What stages does a newly graduated person to work as a software developer? Ismet, that is a very, very specific question, and I'm not sure I can answer that completely. The first thing you would need to do is to get through your program. And my suggestion to all international students is, while you're studying, while you're doing it, look at your options, speak to people, go on LinkedIn, make applications to companies, create your contacts. Because even though Australia is a land of opportunity, nobody is going to come up to you and say, oh, well done, here's a job. You still actually have to, you've got to do the hard work in, writing your application letters, attending interview sessions, knocking on doors, sending emails, making phone calls. So in terms of steps that you need to do, my suggestion would be to, as you are actually studying your program, explore your options by talking to your professors, going online, looking at work opportunities, emailing companies like Microsoft, for example, to find out what it is they're looking for. If you can find part-time work, collect those email addresses and telephone numbers. You will need the contacts. So my feeling is that getting a job in Australia is a combination of the qualification plus your level of proactivity. Are you willing to knock on doors? So your personality, your qualification will get you the interview, and your personality and your contacts will get you to the next level. How can we apply to your university? Faiza, so it's very easy. You can actually go on to the university website and just click on how to apply, and you can apply directly. However, we do advise students to go through the services of our education agents. We've got a couple based in Turkey. If you send me an email, I can introduce you to both of them and you can have a chat, and they will be able to talk you through the process. It's not difficult, but it is quite administrative. So you need a certain number of documents. You need to get those documents legally stamped and signed. Now, if you use one of our representatives, you don't have to get them legally stamped. They will do them for you. They can scan them and send them to us. They can also help you apply for your visa as well. So there's a number of stages. It's not that difficult, but it is a little bit fiddly, and it's probably a good idea to use one of our representatives. So Faiza, if you are interested, send me an email and I will point you in the right direction. Do you have any dual degree programs with any Turkish? Oh, Necati, you're full of some very good questions today. We don't, but we are. Last year I went to Koç University, and we are investigating how it would work. Okay, structuring a dual degree program takes a long time because it has to meet the criteria for both ministries of education. So it is quite tricky. It is on my menu. It is on my list of things to do, but we don't at the moment. But we are really, really hoping to at some point. Okay, let's have a look. We've got some new questions. Sorry, missed. What is the fees of the diploma programs? So if you study a diploma program, so Umut, if you're talking about the first year of the program, the fees are a little bit less than the bachelor's. So if you are finishing your high school in Turkey and you're coming into the diploma first year, you're looking at about $29,000, $30,000 after that scholarship has been applied. Okay. Do you offer certificate programs? Yes, we do, Lutfiye. We do offer some certificate programs. We do graduate certificates and graduate diplomas. However, you need to be a little bit cautious with them because the visa implications are a little bit different the shorter the program. Chidem, is there any opportunity to work as a research or teaching assistant? Again, we do have students that have that. If you're going into research teaching assistant while you're studying, you really need to be on a research program. So if you're doing a master's degree in coursework, assignments and classes and stuff, it's going to be difficult for you to find work as a research assistant because they expect you to have some kind of research understanding. If you want to get into research assistant, research work, and I'm not guaranteeing that you would find it, you're probably better to apply for a master's in research. Okay, that would be the best starting point. But again, I can't guarantee that sort of work. We do have some students that find it, but if it's research assistant you're looking for, then it's a research program that you should be doing. Abdullah, when should we start preparing docs for a master's degree? How long does it take? That's a very, very good question. So our next intake, because of the COVID-19 scenario, we are actually looking at taking some programs in November this year, at what we call a session 3 intake. However, we are not offering, it won't be, because it will be done online, it won't be a complete 4-unit program. It'll probably just be 1 or 2 units maximum, and it won't be for every single program, okay? So the next intake is November. If you are looking at coming in February next year, the whole process of application, offer, acceptance, confirmation, visa, that usually takes between 6 to 8 weeks. But at the moment, the whole visa processing may take a little bit longer because of this entire situation. But I would imagine that if you're looking for a February intake next year, as long as you get everything organized by October, November, you should be okay. Do you have students from Iran? Visa approval is not difficult for Iran. Unfortunately, Shaheen, visa approval for Iranians is quite difficult at the moment, okay? It's what we call a level 3 country. And some programs are not allowed to go into from Iran. This is not a university decision. This is a governmental decision. And in fact, it's more to do with global politics than anything else. Iran, it's not impossible to get a visa, but it is a little bit more difficult than getting a visa if you're Turkish, I'm sorry to say. Master's degree, Sharon. Oh, you have to remind me of the... Okay, so Sharon, you have to remind me of your question again now. I'm sorry. Let me have a look. Sharon. Let me just go back to Sharon's question. Who's good? Najati. Najati, you're going to get the award today for asking the most questions. Sharon, what was your question again? Oh, what should I diploma score if you want to? Okay, Sharon, if you want to go into a master's degree, you're going to need, and you want to go into, and you're talking about your bachelor's degree. As long as you're getting 65% or higher, you should be okay for a master's degree, okay? 70% is better, 65 we would look at. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Hardeep Singh, what are the requirements for agency? Oh, well, I can't answer anything about India, I'm afraid, Hardeep. I only look after Europe and Africa, I'm sorry. So in terms of Indian agencies agreements, I can't help you there, I'm terribly sorry. Does anybody have any more questions? You know, usually there's a question about sharks or spiders or, you know, scary animals and stuff like that. But obviously you guys are much more sensible, very focused.
Anthony, there are a few questions more after Ceren's last question from Müge, Selime, and Necati.
At the bottom, are they? I can't see. Let's have a look.
It's after the Ceren's message, master's degree.
Okay, I haven't seen anything else yet. Nothing has come in. I've got Ceren Songül master's degree. Hello, what should my diploma score be, at least for business management? Again, like I said, Ceren, if you do get some 70% or more, you should be okay, plus 6.5 at IELTS. I can't see any other questions, Burçe.
From Müge, right after Ceren's question?
No, nothing has come through yet. I don't have anything after Ceren.
Okay, let me copy in the chat box the questions.
Okay, so it's in the chat box, is it, or the question box?
No, it's in the questions box, but I cannot copy on the questions side.
Okay, Müge, yes, no, I can see now. I can see they've come in.
Oh, all right, that's great.
Müge, does the university have doctorate programs in dentistry? Unfortunately not. So dentistry, nursing, pharmacy, I'm afraid we don't have. We have medicine and we have a lot of health science programs, but we don't have dentistry, we don't have pharmacy, we don't have nursing. I'm sorry, Müge. Selime, what are the most popular majors among international students? Very, very wide ranging. So probably the biggest number of international students go in, if they're going into the sort of business faculty, they will go into art, accounting and commerce. Okay. If you're going into the engineering side of things, a bachelor's degree, it's civil engineering, mechanical engineering. Master's degrees, we have Masters of International Business, Masters of Commerce, but things like media and communications, international relations, these are areas that are really beginning to show signs of growing. But things like cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has both a science and engineering side to it, but also it has a business side to it. So cyber governance, forensic accounting, things like that. These are actually growing and growing areas. Masters of Research is beginning to pick up a little bit as people are looking to move into research and PhD side of things. So I would say, you know, accounting, commerce, those would be the business side of it. And it depends from country to country where you look at. So, for example, I go to a place called Mauritius, where actuarial science is #1 choice. You know, some countries, they have different sort of focuses. But I would say that, again, business sides will be commerce and accounting. Science side would be your engineering style of things. Necati, do you have any Turkish government-sponsored PhD program students? Not that I'm aware of, Necati. I don't think so. Like I said, the PhDs are actually managed by what we call the Higher Degree by Research Office. And they're quite an independent group within the university. And I don't, to be honest, I don't have that much to do with them. If you send me an email, Necati, I can actually find out for you. But I'm not aware. There may be one or two, but I'm not aware. I don't hold me to that. Errol, what are the required conditions for admissions? Okay. Errol, what are the required conditions for admissions to the university? So, as I mentioned before, you're going to need a transcript. You're going to need an English language proficiency certificate of 6.5 in IELTS or equivalent. If you're going into a master's degree, you need to make sure that you've got the right level, so 70% or higher. And in many cases, your bachelor's degree needs to be connected to your master's degree. It all depends what you're going into, Errol. Nurulia, how much is your university? Okay, I think I might have answered all these. Okay, let's go down. Have I missed any questions, Burçe?
No, I don't think so. I think you covered all of them.
Okay. Let's have a look. Anything else?
There's one more question in the chat box.
Okay, let's have a look. This from Nursach. Do we have the opportunity to work with a master's degree? Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned before, the way the Australian higher education system is set up and connected with our government is that every student who has an international student study visa automatically has a working permit embedded in it. Now that entitles you to 40 hours of work every 2 weeks. So for example, in the first week, if you can find work in McDonald's, for example, and they say, look, I'm sorry, we've only got 10 hours available, it means the second week you could do 30 hours. So what you're looking at is a balance of a maximum of 40 hours of work over a period of 2 weeks. Okay. Now, during the holidays, you can work full time. And as I mentioned before, as long as you complete that master's degree in the 2-year period, you will have what we call a post-study work visa, which entitles you to 2 years of work in our country. Now, you don't want to work in McDonald's for 2 years, okay? So as I mentioned before, while you're studying your master's degree, you need to be looking at building your contacts, building your networks, volunteering work, creating a network that you can contact in order to try and find, more professional work when you get your post-study work visa.
There are a couple of more questions in the questions tab.
Okay, let's have a look. How can we extend the post-study work visa? So Hulki, that's a question that's actually not something I'm an expert in. The post-study work visa is a finite, okay? It's a set duration. If you want to extend it, and by extend it, I mean, I'm guessing you mean look at migration or permanent moving over there, you're going to need to speak to a migration advisor, because the post-study work visa is connected to your study visa. Okay, that's the deal, that's the package. Anything that happens afterwards is outside of the university, outside of study, and more related to migrating or a business visa. So you'll need to speak to a migration agent about that. Okay, that's not my area of expertise. Is there any changing about start dates and application deadlines due to COVID-19? That's a very good question, Lutfier. As I mentioned, COVID-19 has been, to use a nice English phrase, has thrown a spanner in the works of everybody's plans. So we will be taking an intake in November. It'll be an online intake at this point. We don't usually do that, and it will not be available to everybody. It'll be available to most master students, but it will only be subjects like statistics or something very broad. After that, the next intake will be February. The application deadlines, we don't have deadlines, but what we do want you to do is to prepare enough time that will allow you to have your visa processed before you start. Buran, I'm a psychologist. My graduation is 64.8. I want to attend a master's degree. Do I have a chance? So Buran, you'll need to actually send me an email, because I'll need to look at your qualifications. If you already are a psychologist, if you already have a master's degree in psychology, it's not likely you'll get a visa to do a second master's degree in the same thing. Okay, so I'll need to know. I can't answer that in full until I know exactly what your situation is. So if you want to send me an email, please send me an email and I will reply to you over email.
Anthony, there are 3 more questions in the chat box.
Okay. Abdullah. Okay, so first of all, can I get information about master's tuition fees and how do I apply for a scholarship? So Nursach, we don't have any full scholarships, okay, I'm afraid. What will happen is, whatever you decide to study with us, because you are Turkish, I'm guessing, we will give you a $5,000 discount per year. Now, the usual cost of the fees is $38,000 roughly. So that would come down to $33,000. Okay, there are no full scholarships, I'm afraid. So again, master's tuition fees are on average about 38, a little bit less some cases, a little bit more, but on average. And as a Turkish citizen, we would give you that $5,000 discount per year. Abdullah, is citizens' native accent like yours? That's a really good question. I mean, I'm assuming that you mean that my accent is very easy to understand. I'm actually an English language teacher, so I tend to speak a very boring kind of neutral kind of English accent. Some Australians do have a little bit of an accent. And if you go into the country or you speak to some locals, you know, they do have some strange phrases and stuff like that. But, you know, as I said, Australia is such a multicultural place that if you in the university, you're going to be listening to accents from all over the place. If you want to see if you want to listen to what an Australian accent sounds like, then you should watch a television program called Neighbours or watch the movie Crocodile Dundee, and then you can hear what an Aussie accent is like. My sister married I'm English originally, but my sister married an Australian guy. And when I first met him, it took me a while to get used to it, but you get used to it very, very quickly. And it's not that difficult, to be honest. Nusaj, can those whose English level is not good get a preparatory year for a master's degree? So if you are talking about English language development, Nusaj, then what would happen is you would do an IELTS exam or a TOEFL exam before you apply to us. We would then look at that result, and then we would decide how long do you need. So you cannot study English language while you're doing your master's at the same time. You actually have to do the English language preparation before you join the master's. So there are two ways of doing this. Number one is you do all your English language studies in Turkey, and you get your IELTS score up, and then you come directly in. Or you do an IELTS test in Turkey, maybe a little bit low, you come over to Australia, or you do it online with us. And then once you complete that program, you go into the degree, okay? So if you feel your English is a little bit low, you've got two options. One, study hard in Turkey, get your IELTS done in Turkey. Or number two, do your English language preparation as a package onto the master's degree. Hulke, Australian dollars, not USD. Okay, so if you're talking about USD, you're looking at about 22,000 American dollars per year.
Anthony, you covered all the questions as I see.
Yep, I think so.
It was a great presentation, actually. It was very informative.
Yeah, like I said, I'm very happy to talk to all you, and it's wonderful to see that you've got 30 people all sitting in various places throughout the world, you know, watching me in my daughter's bedroom, telling you about a university in Australia. So my email address is in the chat room, in the chat area. Feel free to send me an email. I'm happy to sort of communicate with you directly. I'm also happy to point you in the direction of our education agents that we have in Turkey who are Turkish speakers. They've all been to Macquarie University. They understand exactly what the academic requirements are, the visa requirements, the financial requirements are, okay? And I know, and I work very, very closely with them, and they're very, very trustworthy. So like I said, you know, wonderful to speak to everybody. You know, I would love to see you over there one day, you know, fingers crossed, once this COVID-19. In fact, I will make a sort of a plan with you. If you come to Macquarie University and you see me walking down the street, tap me on the shoulder and I will buy you a cup of coffee. We don't have any nice Turkish coffee, but I'll find you something nice.
Thank you. So I'll just repost your email address in the chat box so they can copy from there.
No problem.
There are more questions. I will be contacting you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you very much again. It was very nice to welcome you here at the webinar session.
Thank you, everyone. Teşekkür ederim, and hope to see you in Australia.
Thank you. Hope to see you in Istanbul as well.
Absolutely. Well, definitely.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye now. Goodbye.